State of the Union address in the history of the nation. 2 hours of open phones from now until 11 o'clock this morning. 989-752-6111. Did you watch the State of the Union? Did you watch the Democratic reply? And will you watch the governor's State of the State address tonight? Give us a call. Let's talk about it. Now, I have read a lot about the address last night because I only caught bits and pieces. I was very busy and I had things I had to get done. So while I had it on in the background, I wasn't paying attention to it. I did catch just a couple of moments here and there, but I did spend a lot of time reading about it this morning. And I probably could have guessed what was going to be said. It was no surprise. He touted his achievements and avoided talking about things that haven't been achieved. And that's typically what happens. I mean, let's face it, these State of the Union speeches have become theater. So much of politics has become theater these days. And the administrations, whoever they are, whether it's Trump or anybody else, uses this time to tout their successes, to, speak down on their opponents, if you will, and also put forth new proposals for legislation. And invariably, as happened last night, they turn to the gallery to introduce certain individuals. And those are the most unifying moments. There were a couple of unifying moments last night. He introduced the USA hockey team, the gold medal winners at the Olympics. Most were there. I think there were 4 or 5 that didn't make it. And that brought everybody to their feet. He introduced and presented to 2 men Congressional Medal of Honor. One was 100 years old. He was a pilot in World War II. The other was the flight lead in the capture of Maduro in Venezuela, injured, walks with a walker right now, but was in uniform. Told their stories, awarded both of them Congressional Medal of Honors, and that brought everybody to their feet, and I was glad to see that. I really wondered if that would do it, but it did. They were all standing, applauding. And the other one that brought everybody to their feet was when he proposed legislation to prevent people in government from insider trading, from using insider trading. And they all stood up on that one. Other than that, it was about as partisan as you can get. But that's to be expected. It's the nature of the beast. Those in power tout their successes and ignore their failures. Those out of power point to the failures and ignore the successes. That's what politics has become today. So there was no surprise other than the fact that it went an hour, almost an hour and 50 minutes. It was an hour 49 and something. 1 hour, 49 minutes and 44 seconds or something like that. Longest in history by 11 minutes. He beat out Bill Clinton, who had, up to that point, had the longest one. But overall, I don't think there were any gigantic surprises. Now everybody waits and sees, well, did it move his polling numbers? Better, worse, what happened? Who knows? Time will tell. But if you watched it, you would have been spending a lot of time in front of the tube, as they say. So And then, of course, there is the party out of power's response. In this case, the Democratic response was given by Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger. And she was critical of Trump, but hopeful for the country. She was tasked with delivering the response, and she blasted the president, saying that he wasn't focused on improving the lives of Americans and instead enriching himself, family, and friends. She provided her address while in Williamsburg, Virginia. Williamsburg, if you've never been there, and it's changed a lot. I've been there a couple of times in my life. It's, a revolutionary village linked to the founding of the United States. And again, it is interesting that whenever the party out of power, in this case the Democrats, talk about Trump, they talk about Trump in a negative way. But at no point did she tell us what Democrats are going to do. And in my opinion, as a political observer of many decades, the reason I believe the Democrats lost the presidency, aside from the fact that they didn't have a sparkling candidate, they spent all their time name-calling and not telling us what they were going to do to help the American people get through the economic crisis and all of that stuff. And if they do that again, they will lose again. I don't care who their opponent is. It's time to stop the name-calling on both sides, and we all know Trump's guilty of it. But we need to stop it on both sides and get down to brass tacks. Fix what needs to be fixed in this country. Do it in a bipartisan way. Get together. Take ideas from both sides. Put it together into a usable plan and vote on it. Now that's, I know, too much common sense. But, I'm to the point where I don't care about these speeches. Speeches are just words. It's the old saying, action speaks louder than words. It's about time we get some action. Bipartisan action. Compromise action. Yeah, there's that word again, compromise. And I know people on the far left, people on the far right, don't think there should be any compromise. It's their way or the highway. Well, guess what? We wouldn't be sitting here today doing what we do with the freedom to do what we do if it weren't for compromise. Because in this year of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, the Founding Fathers couldn't agree on very much at all. They were all very, very independent people, all had their own axes to grind, all had their own ideas and philosophies, but they quickly realized the art of compromise was the way to success. And even though some of the things that they were not able to compromise on came back to haunt them later, and we needed constitutional amendments to fix them, like slavery, for example, they still managed to form a government which, through crisis after crisis after crisis, manages to survive day in, day out. And when you think 250 years exceeds the average life expectancy of past democracies. They did a pretty good job. But again, they didn't shy away from compromise. They sat down, they talked to each other, they may have even yelled at each other. But in the end, they knew they had to come to terms, and they did. We don't see much of that in Washington today. We need more of it. Now, I know there are people who say, oh, if you're in the middle of the road, you don't stand for anything. They're incorrect. If you're in the middle of the road, you probably stand for more than the far left and right do, because you have compromised yourself. You've decided what you're conservative about and what you're liberal about. And most people live in that sphere of some of this and some of that. So my admonition to our current legislators: stay away from the microphones and television cameras and get to work in the offices. Do what we sent you there to do. Now, when I say we sent you there to do, that doesn't mean just one way, because we all send our representatives there, and some of us send one side, some of us send another side. But we do expect them to sit down and figure it out. These are not dumb people. They're not stupid people. They're mostly highly educated, and you would think would want to get things done. But we are so split today that unless you profess to be one side or the other, you can't be serious, you know? It's nonsense. All right, I just had to get that off my chest, which I do regularly. Lines are open, though, for whatever you want to talk about. 989-752-6111. The number to call. Be on the Art Lewis Show, and we'll get to those calls right after these notes.
Not many things come with a lifetime guarantee.
The Art Lewis Show for a Wednesday morning. Let us get to our phones, and we begin with Carl in Saginaw. Good morning.
Good morning, Art. We watched part of the State of the Union, the first part, but, kind of lost interest. He pretty much was talking about all the things he says every day, when he gives speeches. And when he gives press conferences, it's pretty much the same. Yeah. I didn't hear anything new last night.
No, I agree.
Do you think he changed anyone's mind, or do you think he brought anybody over to the Republican side last night?
I have no idea. To tell you the truth, the polls will be out, and they're up, they're down, they're all over the place. I have no idea. Maybe he brought a few, maybe he lost a few. You don't know.
I don't know. Well, it's just he's on TV so much. Just seeing him on TV again, I don't think it has the impact that it may have had years ago. But some of the things he said last night, the tariffs are going to be paid by foreign governments. That's not the way it works. We know who pays tariffs.
Well, eventually. You know what, though? A lot of the tariffs, some have been passed on, but not all of them have been passed on. The importers pay it, and in many cases, they've eaten some of it. But that's it for another day. I mean, I just...
Yeah. Well, he also said prescription prices are down 100%. Well, that's just absurd. That would mean that prescription drugs are free. And,
be careful.
Last time I take
3 drugs and they're free. I don't pay for them. There's zero copay.
Well, you think all prescription drugs
No.
are free?
No. I
Okay,
didn't say
well-
that. I didn't say that. But
Okay.
there are. I will
Okay.
tell you this though: a number of the manufacturers have begun cutting their high-end, outlandish prices, because we're paying for the world, and
Yeah.
let everybody else
yeah,
pay.
but that's another story.
Well, why? Because that's,
you're talking.
all right.
You were talking about how, the noise comes from both extremes,
Yep.
but most Americans live in the middle.
Yep.
Do you consider Trump in the middle or part of the extreme?
Oh, he's somewhere more to probably. Well, that in some things middle and in some things extreme. So it depends on your views. There are some issues that are.
And where would he?
There
where
are
would
some
he be
issues
more
that
in the
are
middle?
uniform. Well, closing the border. Most people support that.
Okay.
Just as an
right.
example. But you got to. What are you going to do?
Okay.
Strip down issue after issue after issue to find out? I mean, if that's what you have to do, you do it. It's not funny. I mean, that's just the way it is. So,
Okay. Well,
all right.
And
Real
all
quick.
right. Thanks, Art.
All right. Take care. Bye bye now.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
And we go to Scott in Saginaw. Good morning, Scott.
Morning, Art. I wasn't going to start with it, but Carl jumped me on it. Before the State of the Union, apparently Trump's job approval rating or his agenda rating was 54%. After the State of the Union, he jumped to 64%.
Where did you see that?
So more people. It's on the news. The National News Desk is playing it.
Okay.
So I don't know which poll it was. They
That's
said
what
one,
I've
but
been.
they said
I asked for a reason because I've been looking to see if there are any polls out there yet.
Yeah, and then the other poll that jumped out as well is, once again, the stock market, I believe, after the speech, hit another record high. So apparently he must be hitting the middle for somebody because people are believing in what he's doing.
So listen, all right. Now, here's the trick, though, okay? Let's say all those numbers are correct and all that went up. So 2 weeks from now, at the next poll or whenever it comes out, then you see, well, where are those numbers now? And it has been a roller coaster.
Well, to me, I don't really care about the polls.
Welcome to my world.
I go to the grocery store. I believe what I believe because I see what I see. So the polls aren't going to sway me. So I know what I'm paying. I know what I was paying. I know I'm paying some more for certain things. I know I'm paying a lot less for other things. So it's going to take time. But again, I wanted more to talk about the State of the Union here. A few years ago, we had a man named Representative Wilson when Barack Obama was speaking, and he said two simple words: "You lie."
Yeah.
And the media and the left went absolutely nuts on this. How disrespectful! And now
Didn't do it last
we have
night.
Nancy Pelosi. Oh,
Omar.
a bunch of petulant little children. They act like they're little children who need to be bent over somebody's knee and spanked. I'm serious. That's what they seem like, a bunch of petulant little children. And then the rebuttal afterwards was another one, like a little girl who was mad because she got sent to her room and she's just going to complain about everything now. Dinner's bad, the lighting is bad, the plates are bad, the stoves are wrong color.
That's her job, though. I mean, that's what she got sent there to do. That's
it's
exactly what she was sent there to do.
But if you want to complain about something that you can bring proof to. Don't just complain about everything. Bring the proof.
You've been watching politics long enough to know that's not going to happen.
Well, one that I did like was when Donald Trump said, "If you want to represent the American people, stand up."
Yeah. Do you think we should represent the American people or illegal immigrants? That was the question.
Right. And I only seen a couple Democrats in favor of supporting Americans.
Yep. So
to me, it's on full display. It's on full display. I mean, they're all over the cities. They're hiding criminals. Now they're defunding ICE. They're acting like little children. I hope
they're not defunding
ICE.
ICE is funded for the next few years.
Well, you know what I mean. They're trying
to limit their ability. So yeah. All right, I got to run. Got to take a break.
All right, Art.
All right, Scott. Thanks. Tim in Midland, hang on. You'll be next.
Rocket Grab Plus.
And we return. In the Midland we go to talk to Tim this morning. Tim, good morning.
Good morning, Art. It sounds like you had one Democrat call, you had one Republican. Let me give you one Libertarian calling in now.
Okay, good.
I do not watch these theater events, as you call them, either side. I don't care. It's all theater on both sides, and I've come to realize that. However, there is no better theater than Donald J. Trump. He gives you the best theater there is. And the word impetulant child was used in the last call. I would call Donald Trump an impetulant child. Anybody. He's the biggest baby in the whole room. But that's not the reason I call. He presented a Medal of Honor last night.
2 of them.
Yeah. One of them is very curious, though. It takes usually at least 18 months to get a Medal of Honor approved. This operation, the Maduro thing, was what, weeks ago? I don't know how many weeks ago.
It's funny you say that because I had that same thought. How did they do that so quick?
It's very curious that the commander-in-chief, the commander-clown-in-chief up there, wanted to do this last night during this event. And I don't know. I haven't read the citation. I don't know exactly what happens. But it's very curious. It only took a couple weeks to get this approved.
Well, the mission, the mission may have justified it, but it's the length of time it took to get it. And I understand what you're saying.
The mission probably doesn't. I know a little bit about these things, and no, that probably didn't. That's pretty much a ding against it. He is still alive too. If he'd have perished in the action, you could probably get one through faster through that. But he's alive. He got some shrapnel in the leg. I got it. I mean, yep, hero. Medal of Honor. This is going to get a lot of scrutiny.
I agree. I wondered the same thing, but
it has nothing to do with the Medal of Honor. It has to do with Donald J. Trump presenting the medal for this fabulous thing that he did. So I'm afraid he's diluted the Medal of Honor through this event that he just did.
Not going to carry it that far, but let's just say that it was an unusual presentation.
Oh, what I'm saying is it's going to get some scrutiny.
Well, it might, but
should.
If it's been but if the chain of command approved it, even on an accelerated basis,
they approved it because the commander-in-chief said approve it. That's my theory. It's like no.
Well, okay, that's a theory. I'll give you that. It's a theory.
Yeah, but when I'm saying it takes usually 18 months to get these, at least. I mean, the other guy up there was 101.
Yeah, well, that took 70 some odd years.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a correction of an oversight.
This doesn't happen in weeks. There's something very curious here, and you got the orange goblin pulling the strings. There is how it happened, and I hate to say, I hope he hasn't diluted the Medal of Honor.
I don't think he has, but time will tell. All right, Tim.
Time will tell.
Good enough. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I want to address an email that I got relative to Epstein yesterday. Before we do that, let's talk about Quick Lane Freeland, where you can get all the routine service you need for your automobile. They're on the McDonald Ford property. Quick Lane Freeland also is your headquarters for tires. They sell all their tires at just $5 over cost. That includes winter tires. And there is a difference between winter tires and all-season tires. And John from Quick Lane Freeland will explain it.
Hello, Art. Yes, winter tires are made with a pliable rubber compound that includes silica to stay flexible and maintain grip in freezing temperatures. Unlike harder all-season tires, which stiffen and lose traction in the cold, this flexible compound allows the tire to better conform to the road surface, providing superior grip and traction on snow and ice to keep you safe.
Thanks, John. Stop in Quick Lane Freeland for all your routine service from oil changes on up. And also McDonald Ford right there with the complete lineup of Ford Motor products for 2026, as well as a great pre-owned lot. Stop in today and visit them. Quick Lane Freeland and McDonald Ford. Remember those two names because they are there to help you with all your automotive needs in 2026. We'll be right back.
My name is Whitney Allen, and
All right, we're back with you here on the Art Lewis Show. Lines open at 989-752-6111. Want to address an email I got yesterday. The initials of the sender were DK. I'm not going to give you the name because I don't have permission to do that. But it says, and I'm going to read the whole email to you and then talk about it a little bit. It says, "Hello, Mr. Lewis. I usually enjoy listening to your radio program. However, I was disappointed with some of the comments concerning the women who are asking for justice with this abuse." And she's talking about Jeffrey Epstein. "Instead of asking the question, why were they, the girls, there, don't you feel the question should be, why did these people have underage girls in this situation? Instead of finding fault with the children, the questions and answers should have been, why did these adults do this to the children? I don't feel the topic addressed the criminal behavior adequately. Sincerely." And I did send back a note, and I said, thank you for your observations. I do agree. And I told her I would address it. So we're going to address it. First of all, the question that came in yesterday during that conversation was, how did the girls get there? Why were they there? And that was the question as it was phrased thereabouts. It's kind of, I paraphrased it a little bit. The question of why did these people have underage girls there in the first place is a legitimate question. But you still have to ask, how did these girls get there? And at no time did we lay the fault on the girls. I want to make that clear. It is not their fault they found themselves in these situations. They were guided by people, and I mentioned that yesterday in discussing how they got there. It's a form of trafficking. You could say that same question about the trafficking of young girls today for sexual and other purposes. How did they get there? Because when you ask that question and you seek that answer, it ends up with the adults who are promulgating it. You find your answer in those adults. And this, to me, this listener brings up a very good question. Because I think you need to start an investigation tearing apart the organization until you get back to how it was set up, how it was run, how they attracted these young women, and who did it. Was it Giselle herself? Was it Epstein? Were there others that were involved in enticing young girls to do this? And I do not have those answers. But at no time did I say it was the fault of the girls. Let's get that straight. But it is a conversation that probably needs to be had. You know, they're all interested in the files. And why are they interested in the files? They're not interested in the files to find out who did what to whom. They're interested in the files for political gain, what's happening in Washington right now. Because you know it's going to be guilt by association. If your name's in the file, you're guilty, which is nonsense. There's probably a lot of people mentioned in those files that had absolutely nothing to do with the sex trafficking side of Epstein. You know, and now looking back, you hear them all say, well, it was bad judgment to be with him and all that. Yeah, hindsight's 20/20. But I still